The Election Commission must first of all operate in a very transparent and cooperative manner. I have no qualms in rectifying electoral rolls. The electoral rolls must have absolute integrity. It must be an inclusive process. Everybody who is a citizen of India and who is normally resident here and is above the age of 18 must be eligible to vote, and they should be enrolled in an assembly constituency as a voter. At the same time, anybody who is not eligible in a particular assembly segment must not be included. But that process must be run. It is actually a continuous process because people turn 18 all the time, and people also pass away, people move. So it must be, this inclusion and exclusion must be a continuous process. But it must be done in a transparent manner. Anybody's name you're removing, you must give them adequate notice just in case they have objections or their names have been removed erroneously. At the same time, political parties in that area must also be furnished the data of inclusions and exclusions in a machine-readable format data form. You can't just not give it in a machine-readable format, because in today's day, because everybody uses technology, we need to use technological tools in order to understand whether there are any patterns by which there is abnormal deletions or inclusions are happening. So if the Election Commission operates in a transparent manner and in a manner in which it is inclusive, I see no problems in correcting and bringing about integrity into the electoral rolls. And in the election process itself, while I am a supporter of the EVM machine, there are many who doubt the integrity of EVM machines. I think it's also incumbent upon the Election Commission to dispel those doubts. So I think that they should, at least for one election, now they are counting the VVPATs at about 5 booths per assembly segment. Maybe they should do it for at least a few assembly constituencies. They must do VVPAT and election EVM counting simultaneously in order to dispel this doubt once and for all. While I am a proponent of EVM, there are many others who have doubts about the efficacy of the EVM and the integrity of EVM, and I think it's incumbent upon the Election Commission to dispel those doubts. And any time a political party raises any issue with the Election Commission must address it. Instead of hiding behind legalese, asking for paperwork in a certain format, that's not becoming of the Election Commission. The Election Commission is a constitutional body, and they must operate in a completely transparent and in a cooperative manner. See, if there are patterns of large-scale deletion, and political parties are raising that, it is incumbent upon the Election Commission to address those concerns in a transparent manner. If any allegation is made or any anomaly is pointed out by a political party, the Election Commission must address it head on.
What do you think about the Indigo issue?
This is a collective failure, first on part of the airline, then on part of the DGCA, and then on part of the Ministry of Civil Aviation. The DGCA had given a directive about flying crew rest periods well in advance in January. And they should have done an impact assessment on the major airlines to see what would be the impact when this new regulation is implemented. They had adequate time to do that. Most importantly, the airlines should have geared themselves up to meet those guidelines, and they should have staffed their flying crew adequately. So this was a collective failure. First, on the failure on part of the airline Indigo, particularly in not adequately staffing itself to meet the new requirements. Part of the DGCA for not doing an impact assessment and not for adequately monitoring it continuously. And for the ministry, which has overall regulatory authority, for just not reacting to these things before they should have anticipated it and acted on it. They did. So it's a collective failure. It's caused huge misery to lakhs of people and the economic loss, I can't even calculate it, and nobody's come up with an actual estimate of what the economic loss is because of this huge disruption over the last 3-4 days. I've heard stories of people who are having to cancel their weddings. Obviously, the hotel bookings and other arrangements, everything has gone for a toss. So I do not know what the economic loss which has actually happened, and the government must now come up with a white paper and say this is the economic loss which has happened, these are the causes why it happened, and what is the compensation the concerned airline and any other party which is responsible for this is going to pay. People must be compensated. This is not just because you withdrew the direction now, which is again, I don't know whether it's going to compromise on airline safety. You've withdrawn, you gave that directive only to ensure airline safety. Now you have withdrawn the directive. Does it mean that airline safety is now going to be jeopardized? And then what is the economic loss, and how are you going to compensate for the economic loss? And what are the penalties going to be levied on those who let this lapse happen? The government has a lot to answer. People of the locality, of the area around Tirupurangundram have lived in harmony for centuries. If you look at any place of worship, it would have had a very checkered history. Many practices would have emanated there. Many practices would have been discontinued. Multiple religious sites would have coexisted with each other. So this is a non-problem. In fact, there was no issue at all for the local people. It is only when outside elements who want to sort of fish in troubled waters entered it and muddied the situation. This is happening. I mean, every year there has been no problem, and I really wish that people will not meddle in matters of faith and let people follow faith in whatever manner they're used to following it, in whatever rituals they were following all these years, instead of thrusting new rituals and new customs into places and vitiating the atmosphere. But as I said, there has to be a give and take policy, and local communities always do the give and take policy, and they coexist harmoniously. It's only when outside forces interfere, mischief is created.
But BJP leaders are
No, there is no. I don't agree with what the BJP leader is saying. It's the BJP which is trying to create flashpoints. As I said, if you go to the village around the temple area, which is Tirupurangundram, the communities have coexisted forever. It is only when people who are not connected to the area interfered and tried to thrust rituals and customs which were not normally done or not normally done in a cooperative manner, this kind of flashpoints. And as I said, everybody must give and take, and the local communities give and take and live in harmony. And I think we should just let it be for the local community to decide what they will do and what they won't do.